Welcome to the Rethink Leadership podcast, available on all platforms including YouTube if you prefer to watch. My name is Jeremy Blaine, CEO of Performance Works International, Executive Director of the Transformational Leadership Acceleration Institute, and Managing Partner of Diversity Talent. My aim is to bring insights from leaders, experts, and highly talented professionals from around the world. Insights, stories, and advice from the front lines of modern leadership to engage, inspire, and mobilize progress back in the workplace. Every episode is a learning opportunity for us all. The Rethink Leadership podcast also supports charities around the world. Each episode is in aid of a cause chosen by my guests, and to date, I'm proud to say we've supported over 60 global and local great causes. My guest today is the extraordinary Jess Roper. Jess's story of self-leadership, resilience, determination, learning, focus, and more is inspirational. She's a former 2-time English kickboxing champion and is currently a second-degree black belt, something she's committed to improve on through self-discipline, learning, and committed effort. More recently, Jess has become a well-known coach and professional speaker, delivering keynotes and workshops in both schools and companies. This is to improve performance and increase resilience through leadership exploration and incorporating the lessons learned in elite level combat sports. We discuss Jess's journey, including the challenges, breakthroughs, and road to becoming a champion kickboxer. We then explore where Jess is now and how she works at grassroots level, particularly with school children, to inspire all to be the best they can be. Behind her mantra, dream big, start small, never give up. This episode is in aid of Free to Fly, a charity helping expectant mothers find freedom from abuse for themselves and their children. We've made a donation to support Jess's passion behind this important cause. Thanks very much for joining me, Jess. Please introduce yourself, your passions, and tell us about that spark that drives you forward.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you to everybody who's listening. So my name's Jess Roper. I am a 2-time English kickboxing champion and a second-degree black belt. For the last year or so, I've been focused on working with children, schools, inspiring future champions to become the best that they can be, encouraging them to dream big, start small, and never give up. That spark, that enthusiasm, and that passion that I have is linked to self-development and leadership, becoming a champion, becoming a black belt. Beyond those belts, titles, and trophies, to be the best that we can be, to lead the way for others, to help them become the best that they can be. That has always been a powerful motivation for me to push myself.
That's absolutely, what a great way to start. Be the best that you can be and inspire others. And this is the spark when I first met you, Jess, as well. I mean, it's an infectious spark that you have there. But of course, you've got to start somewhere. And I know you've had a really kind of challenging journey at times through your life. So I'd love for you to describe yourself a little bit, how you turn things around, showing incredible resilience at times and that self-leadership that I know that we both have talked about. You entered a male-dominated sport to fight your way forward. So what did you learn about yourselves also in those early days?
Oh, yes, it was tough in the beginning. I didn't begin kickboxing until I was 19. So that's the first thing. People see me as a champion now and they think, well, you were doing it from a young age. I was naturally athletic, sporty, competitive. I wasn't sporty at school. I avoided it. I was academic at school. I was an A-star predicted math science student, but I had a tough upbringing. Both of my parents were addicted to drugs, becoming alcoholics later in life. And I began to fear judgment and failure, because I'm grateful that I went to a good school and I had good friends and I could achieve with them academically, until the pressure became too much, until I began to fear that they would find out that I was not like them. I would also like to add that addicts are not bad people. I love both of my parents. They're both doing amazingly well now, and I'm proud of them. But in my early years, there were tough times. I do have happy memories too, in the woods with my cousins. I had family. My granddad, he's always been one of my greatest role models. He's inspired me throughout my life and encouraged me. But there was that tough time throughout my teenage years. I think that's one of the reasons why that will always have a special place in my heart, to help young people. Obviously, I don't only work with young people. I do go into companies and work with them too. But I want to help those who are struggling become the best that they can be, because I know what that struggle feels like. Then, 19 years old, why did I start kickboxing? Why something so tough? I was the only female in the gym and I couldn't even do one press up. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed the environment, and I wanted to push myself to face my fears, push myself to improve, to do something that I never thought I would be able to do. Why I was interested in it, I'm not sure. I think there was a small part of me that wanted to find the most terrifying thing that I possibly could and push myself to do it. And that was how I began. Useless, incapable, but determined to continue and improve.
Useless, incapable, but determined. Wow, a great way to end that. Obviously, the big question that comes out of all of that is, how many press ups can you do now?
I always get asked that in schools. It depends how much I've been dedicated to them. It averages around 20 now. I don't do them as frequently. When I went black belt, I could do 30. I still struggle with them. They are hard. So the differences between men and women, we are not equal in our physical strength. So this is, obviously you're aware, I don't know if the audience are, but moving in towards the diversity, equity and inclusion, we need to create that environment that supports women, so it isn't doing an equal amount of press ups to the men, because they are stronger. And I've been through that for the 11 years that I've been kickboxing. As hard as I work on my press ups, I'm never as strong as the men. It used to frustrate me, but now I accept it. I'm proud that I can do 20.
So going from those early days, Jess, and as you alluded to, you demonstrated this great drive, this grit, uncompromising determination from the stories I've heard you tell as well, to get to the very top. You became a black belt and the English kickboxing champion twice. So tell us a little bit about that journey to the top and what each of those achievements means to you.
Thank you. Going back to quickly what you were saying about the academic side of things, I was always academic. And so I think that's where the pressure came from, that being naturally good at something. And I don't even have those qualifications. So it didn't do me very well. With kickboxing, I had to start at the bottom. I had to begin as a white belt. No matter how good you are, when you walk in the gym, you begin as a white belt and you work your way up to black belt. You're welcomed in and everybody is equal on the mat, regardless of your background. Everybody trains together. Obviously, certain gyms are slightly different, but the community based, and that's what I love about it, being part of a team. You're on your own in the ring, but you have your coach in your corner. You have your team around you cheering you on. They've been there throughout all of the sessions. And so it's very light leadership. But there is, in my mind, a difference between the two. So becoming a black belt was the thing that I believed that I could do. I never believed that I would be a fighter or a champion, but I wanted to push myself, as I said earlier. And I'm still not entirely sure what it was that provided that spark, because obviously I coach kickboxing. I work predominantly with women too. The majority of people will never fight. They will never want to fight. They will never step foot in the ring. They do not want to do that. And that is absolutely fine. It's a fantastic way to get fit. But my coach saw something in me. My coaching team encouraged me, and I started to pursue a competitive career. And I lost lots of fights early on. And then I began to win. And then I lost some more. Then I managed to win and I managed to become a champion. And it was a dream come true. It was incredible. It was one of the most amazing feelings in the world because I never thought I would achieve it. So you can achieve something without belief as long as you keep working towards it. Then that became my catalyst for confidence. That was what made me think, if I can achieve that, what else can I achieve? Whereas becoming a black belt was, this is the structure, this is the framework. Yes, you've got to work really, really hard. It does require a huge amount of dedication, determination, and discipline to achieve either black belt or champion title belts. But you know the route to get there. It's linear almost. There are ups and downs. There will be things that you will struggle with more along the way. But white to black, it's you versus you. It's not you versus someone else who wants to knock you out. So they're similar in terms of time frame and dedication required, but they're different. And how that translates into leadership, I am still working on communicating this. So maybe we can come back in a couple of years and I'll be like, this is what I've done since. But for now, I think becoming a champion, I would use as an analogy for self-leadership and becoming the best that you can be to help others become the best that they can be, inspiring future champions, all these things that I say. Because when I was training to become a champion, I had to put myself first. I had to train to win my fight. And yes, there's a team training, but I had to make sure that I was getting the most out of every session. And I was responsible for stepping in that ring alone and fighting on behalf of my team and gym, because I'm representing the club. But it's me being the champion. Whereas becoming a black belt, it's a lot more about the legacy of the club, a lot more about the leadership of the organization, the coaching, the leading the way for the younger or the lower belts or the community as a whole. And there's this level of respect that tying that belt around my waist for the first time, it was a massive sense of achievement, but it was the result of predicted, planned over that 6-year time frame, knowing that if I continue, I will achieve that. Whereas there's always an element of what if my opponent beats me in a fight? Whereas in a black belt, there isn't. It's just you doing the work to become the best that you can be. Becoming a champion is self-leadership, making sure that you're the best that you can be as part of a greater organization, but the responsibility is on you. Whereas becoming a black belt is about representing the organization, enhancing the organization, being part of that community, being part of that culture so that everybody can thrive. And as you say, Jeremy, all martial arts, I think they raise leaders at all levels, because from white belt to black belt, everybody on that mat is equal.
How beautifully put, Jess. And it's interesting for me actually, because your first movement into this was the aim and the goal was black belt. That was the first one, and then it became the champion. And of course, as a layman just looking in, of course, I would have thought it was the other way around. Right, I'm going to go for that. It's that competitive, that champion or whatever, and then we'll work on the rest. But I totally understand that now. And such a great link to leadership in business, that self-leadership, as you talk about, being part of being the champion, that competitiveness. You have to fail a little bit, you have to experience failure, but you have to fail forward, you have to learn from it, and that is about that self-leadership, what you carry forward. So for me, in leadership terms, that's about how do we achieve our short-term targets, how do we do that together, myself as a leader and the rest of this amazing team at all levels, as you talked about. Whereas being the best I can be is developing that discipline and that constant hunger for learning so that you can develop your leadership skills over time rather than in that year or that month or whatever it is. That's so clear for me. And what a great analogy from business. But also, I mean, I would have to say it's quite indicative of the move that you've made. This is a bold journey that you've done, from competing in the ring to starting your own business, to presenting on stage, to coaching others, to coaching leaders, or coaching leaders at all levels, from students and pupils right through to business. So the obvious question for me is, how did you find that transition? And what learnings did you bring forward from your kickboxing journey that have benefited you in this latest move?
I think how I learned about business has been very determined by my previous experience in the martial arts world, because I don't have a business background. I'm not completely oblivious to it. I grew up in a small family run pub, so I became my father's front of house manager, but it didn't have leadership as such. It was more management than leadership, I would say, and there was no progression beyond where I got to. And that was where the kickboxing was invaluable for me, because I very highly value progression. So taking that black belt analogy and the confidence of a champion, believing that if I can achieve that, I can achieve anything. Nothing terrifies me as much as stepping in the ring. And that is true. I do not believe, when I get there, my big dream to speak on stages globally, that massive audience in a huge stadium, I don't know, let's say 80,000 people, that would be live streamed around the world. I don't think that will scare me as much as stepping in the ring, because you're not going to get punched in the face. And so that ability to overcome my fear, I like that too. I like the challenge. I like the competition. I like pushing myself. So not including the opponent, I don't really care about beating another person. Even in the ring, it was always about being the best that I could be. And there is a survival instinct. Yes, you do have to beat them to win, and you don't want to lose because you don't want to get hurt. But I don't have to worry about that part on stage. All I have to be concerned about is delivering the best that I can deliver, so the audience can benefit from the message that I provide. So whether that is primary school children, or whether that's in PwC. I recently worked in Zurich and London. So all of these different levels of delivery. It didn't begin like that though. That's recent, and these are the next steps. The working my way from white belt to black belt. I'm probably about a purple belt now, maybe. It began with that, okay, I'm going to switch from competing in the ring to speaking on stages. How do I do this? What do I begin with? Because I don't begin on that massive stage with 80,000 people in an audience. I don't begin by walking into PwC. I began by doing Facebook Lives, then podcasts, then Toastmasters, then a local community radio show, then schools. Then now I'm at this point of conferences and companies, mainly in the UK, but I'm looking to be out in Southeast Asia next winter. I don't want to be here. I don't like the cold. I went, another story for another time, I went traveling when I was 22 and I absolutely loved it out there. And that was what reignited my spark to get back into kickboxing. Found another club and decided to completely dedicate to it. And I said, within 1 year, I'm coming back out. I still haven't been back out, and I'm 30. So it's been 8 years. I'm not out there, and I will be out there next winter. So it's that progression, the white belt to black belt, and the confidence of the champion that have led me to my own big dream of global stages, and the message that I share in schools all around the country and anywhere that I can. So here now too, dream big, start small, and never give up. There will be those struggles, setbacks, and losses along the way. I wasn't predicting a global pandemic. I went self-employed at the end of 2019. I won both my title belts in 2019. I was on a trajectory to go to the British title fight, go to the world title, the world championships in August 2020. Guess what? That didn't happen. But it gave me that time to focus on my business instead.
Wow. so much to unpack, not least that your big aim is 80,000 people and live streaming around the world when you're presenting. That would terrify me, I would have to say. So you're way ahead of it, and you're so right though. You're not going to get punched in the face. So hey ho, go and just do it, right?
Yeah. And I don't know where that number came from, but it sounds like a goal now, not a dream.
Yeah, exactly. You heard it here first, folks. And just to pick up on another point is that I have a big audience in Southeast Asia, as you know, on these podcasts and a lot of business over there. So those tuning in and who are operating over there, please get in touch with Jess. Help her realize that dream of getting back to Southeast Asia as soon as possible. Um, Dream big, start small, never give up. What a great adage for anybody in any walk of life, whether it's sport, whether it's business, whether you're a leader, whether you're an individual contributor. I think that's a great mantra that you take forward with you as well. And just coming back to a couple of things that relate to what we talked about before, that facing one thing that struck me is when you started practicing doing this on Facebook, radio, went on to schools. You kind of face that fear of that transition from the ring out into this, and you did it anyway. Something I coined from, I'm sure that's a book by a lady called Susan Jeffers, but it really links to your journey there, and that survival instinct that you have, that great resilience that you're showing, the journey that you did that will never be as hard as what you did in that ring to either black belt or to be a champion, to get where you're going. And that really does link to that fail early, fail often, fail forward adage that I talk about. Experiment, try things out and do it, and you're on your way. So what I'm guessing from that, Jess, is that you have a very clear goal, therefore, of what you want to achieve as we look ahead. So maybe this is a little bit unfair, but I'd like to fast forward 2 years. What will you have achieved then? Because I'm sure you know, and how will you have evolved as Jess the entrepreneur? And how will you have impacted the communities and individuals that you will have worked with?
This is an amazing question, and I love thinking about the future. Obviously, we need to take action now, reflect on the past, but the future, the possibilities, the things that we can achieve, those big dreams. But before I even thought about big dreams, because it's only really in the last year that I've been working in schools that I really focus on that dream big aspect. In 2020, at the beginning of the year, I didn't know what I was doing with my business. I didn't know where I wanted to go. All I knew, because somebody very intelligent, and unfortunately I can't remember his name, it was at a random local networking meeting. One day he'll hear me on a podcast, so if that's you, it was in Hastings, and he said to me, what do you really want? What's your desire? Like, linking to big dreams. But I said, I want to travel. I want to get back out to Thailand. And I was thinking about opening a gym locally, committing to more classes, going into a kind of hospitality based focus. So I was providing healthy prepared meals in the gym locally. That was my original business plan. I don't do that anymore, and I'm glad I don't. But we all learn. And I decided in 2020, okay, I need a 5-year goal, something that I can work towards. I have no idea how I'm going to do it now, but it will give me something to aim towards, that North Star. And I said, March the 23rd, 2025, I'm going to run a retreat in Thailand, health and well-being focus, bringing people together from all around the world to have an amazing time together. Didn't know how, didn't have a global network then, didn't speak on stages. My first speaking on stage was International Women's Day 2020, a local event. Again, it was all very small scale then, local business networking, local events. But I am an integral part of the local community, so it made sense. And that was when I realized, wow, this is what I want to do. That felt amazing. I came off the stage and I was buzzing like I just had a fight, but it was positive and there was no split. So in an audience, yes, you've got half the audience cheering you on in a fight audience, but in a speaking audience, everybody's there for you. Everybody wants to hear what you have to say, hopefully. Even teenagers who look like they can be inspired, and they don't actually, as we said, they don't actually attack you or intimidate you in any way. They just sometimes don't like expressing their emotions. So in 2 years' time, we will be sat here. We will be celebrating the success of the retreat that happened on March the 23rd. I'll probably be home because I don't think I'll be living in Southeast Asia. I will probably still be working in education, probably with education leaders more than in the schools, because I do believe that will have a greater impact. I still will be working with the children though, because they love it and I love it. And it really is rewarding to see the smiles on their faces. And without being too big-headed, I've got really, really good at it. So being in over 75 schools in a year, the experience from having never worked with children before to having done it so much, the delivery that I offer to primary schools is the best delivery that I have at them, because it's the one I got most experience in. But I'll also be working in companies. So I work on behalf of High Realities. So I think they're based in Switzerland, but they go around Europe. They might branch to Asia. I'm not sure. They might branch to the States. It's in early days, but they're the company that I work with that have connected me with PwC over here. Hence, we might get to PwC in Asia. So if anybody has any connections, that would be great. And they're all champions too. So there's a former world champion, a former European champion in Muay Thai, and we bring resilience and leadership training and crisis management, so leadership exploration, to companies. And it's that team element. Several people have said to me, couldn't I do it myself? Couldn't I offer my own training as Jess Roper, as Fighting Fit? Yes, I could, but I like being part of that team. We work together to progress. We work together to provide the best experience for organizations, for companies, for these high-level leaders. And again, it's an almost pinch myself moment, like winning that title belt, in terms of how did I get here? How did I get from just Jess working in the country pub in like under her dad, and that's it for leadership, to one of the biggest organizations in the world and the leaders within those organizations? And it's through networking. It's through offering something of value, through the experience that we deliver and what they get from it. And that is both humbling to me right now, but back to the question, in 2 years' time, who knows who I'll be working with? Because if I've already begun, the possibilities are endless. So the business black belt being that retreat, but the black belt is one grading of your whole accumulation of training, thousands of hours. So I'm not planning to branch into retreats, and that's not going to be my main business. My main business will still be leadership. It will still be around education. It will still be around working with companies and organizations, raising those leaders at all levels. But there will be that celebration on March the 23rd, 2025 in Thailand.
And it's astonishing, this, and what a great lesson. Also, your passion for this is infectious, Jess. And many leaders and many people I work with in business could do better than listening to this podcast, but also just taking your advice and asking themselves that question: what do you really want? What if you could take out and bottle the 3 to 5 big lessons that you could pass on to others who recognize this journey, whether it's sport or whether it's business, and would like to learn from you? What would they be?
I was just listening to your summary, and I am aware there is a lot in there. Luckily, I'm very passionate. I'm very dedicated and determined and disciplined, and I will continue to engage my childlike enthusiasm to achieve my own big dreams. So going to the 3 to 5 things, I'd like to begin by emphasizing that black belt is the beginning. In martial arts, everybody thinks, I'm going to become a black belt. That's the end goal. That's the outcome. But it means the beginning of mastering the basics, the beginning of the journey towards mastery. So hence the business black belt being March the 23rd, 2025. It's a specific date because that's the date I flew home in 2015. So that's 10 years since I left, just to add that in there. But so whatever you're working towards, whatever your business black belt is, you don't want to end it there. You don't want to achieve, we don't want to retire. We finish education. We retire when we're however old, depending on how successful we are. We finish. That's not a philosophy that I take into life, or anything. I would say create something that you don't ever want to retire from. Find your own journey of mastery that your role will change. So as I age and I've stopped competing and I will age, and I often say, when people say, why do I not continue? I want to be coaching when I'm 70, not fighting until I'm 40. I want to keep myself as healthy as possible. And I haven't mentioned health throughout this whole podcast. So one of the key things that anyone needs to do is master their health. Your health is your wealth, and your network is your net worth. So connect with people. And then the 3 things that I've shared in over 75 primary schools, so over 15,000 students, and on this podcast today and numerous other events: dream big, start small, never give up. That's my final 3. So I'd like everybody to think about what they love doing, why they love doing it, their passion, their mission, the greater impact that it can have beyond the money, the title belts, the success, the accolades, but the real meaning behind it, the purpose, and what your big dream is, what you would like to achieve, what becoming a champion means to you. And engage that imagination, that childlike enthusiasm, because working with children, I've realized they aren't afraid to share without inhibitions. Like, they go bigger. I want to be an archaeologist when they don't even know how to find a fossil, but they believe that one day they will discover dinosaurs. Or they want to be a Premiership footballer. They don't listen to the statistics and realize that actually the chances of achieving that is almost impossible. They believe that they'll do it, and they have fun doing the training. So dream big, go bigger, beyond what you originally thought was possible. Start small. So they love doing the training. So Premiership footballer, begin playing football, like in the park with your friends, if that's what you choose to do. My first goal was to be able to do 1 press up. When I began in the gym and my coach said to me, so the only female surrounded by men doing them all on their toes, I went to do them on my knees because I'm a girl. Actually, women can do press ups on their toes. They just have to dedicate to the strength training required. So every night I would lower myself down slowly and I would push as hard as I could until finally I could do 1 press up, and then 1 became 2, 3, 4, many more. And 11 years, I still practice them now. But that was my version of start small towards becoming a kickboxing champion. But those consistent, repeated actions that become your habits, that form your behavior, that becomes your identity, will allow you to become the champion at what you choose and take you towards that big dream. And finally, possibly most importantly, never give up. There will be struggles, setbacks, and losses along the way. I like your one, Jeremy. Can I remember it? Fail fast, fail something, fail forwards. Fail first, fail fast, fail forwards. 3 fails. You will fail at times. So learn. There are lessons in the losses. So have that team around you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Seek support. I see people ahead of me. I see Jeremy and I say, how did you do it? How can you help me get there? And most people welcome that. I love helping people. Why do I want to work with primary school children? Because I want to help them, and other people want to help me. And that goes back to that black belt where we pass down the knowledge. So have someone who inspires you, have someone who's further ahead, and work out what they're doing. And when you're struggling, don't be afraid to seek support. I guess, as I have 5, always be kind. That doesn't really fit in anywhere else other than throughout all of it. Be kind, caring, compassionate, because it is competitive. You do have to work hard. Male-dominated environments, sport, business, in the ring, on stage, become the best that you can be, but embrace everybody on the journey.
Well, you've bottled our aspirational journeys beautifully in that, haven't you? Really, it's absolutely fabulous the way that you can articulate this. It's that dream big, start small, never give up, be the best that you can be. That's that black belt adage that you were talking about. But along the way, the self leadership to achieve your goals that will help you get there, those mini goals that will help you get to that ultimate aim. And the other thing that is very important to reinforce is that when you think you've reached the top, that's just the beginning of your mastery. How that's such a great way to describe it, Jess, because in business, I've seen so many people who've reached senior leadership roles and levels, and yet they seem to have forgotten how to learn again. It's almost as if they've come a little bit complacent. And yet the pace of change in business now, when you think about digital transformation, workforce transformation, means that you've just got to keep challenging yourself, and you keep got to failing early, fail often, and failing forward, learning from that. The word love you used as well, figuring out what you love, is not used enough in business, and that's really good to do that, because if you can articulate that and you can understand how that journey drives you forward, then you can create the right habits, as you were talking about as well, to get there. So such a fascinating listen, Jess, and I could listen to you, and I'm sure many of those tuning in for far more, and many of them I'm absolutely sure will also want to get in touch with you, find out more about your services, keep the conversation going, and share some stories. So how did they do that with you? How did they get in touch?
Mainly through LinkedIn is my focus at the moment. So I'm Jess Roper on there. If you search me up, I am Jess Roper on Instagram. Don't use Instagram as much. I'm on Facebook, and I will have a website. So I need to create my Jess Roper website. So if you Google me, the name Jess Roper, you can find me.
All right, well, Jess, also carry on.
Sorry, I almost forgot. But if you do connect with me from listening to this podcast, please do let me know. Please do let me know that. And if you're thinking about connecting with me now and you might forget, please do it, because I would love to know if you listen to this, when you listen to this. And I would love for you to just send me a little message and say hi. Let me know what you thought.
Right. Well, don't you worry. When we get this out there, Jess, we'll be looking for those comments on LinkedIn, on Facebook as well, and getting people in touch with you. So thank you so much for sharing your journey and joining me. It's been absolutely fascinating. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blaine. Please like, comment, and support us on your favourite platform, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can watch as well as listen to each episode.